Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the RDA Adoption Week. Let me start to share my screen. Okay, so let's see. We see still people joining, so let's give them a few more minutes. We see that already 26 people have joined us. We're 5 on the staff, so it makes us a nice group of already 32 people now online. I'd like to give everybody one more minute to give some time to join. Okay. So
I hear you.
Hi, Franciska. Thank you for joining. Thanks. Okay. So so good morning. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the RDA Adoption Week.
I will really.
So welcome to the Adoption Week. Welcome to the session of Identity Store and Preserve, featuring Chris Schubert, Director of the Climate Change Center in Austria, Franciska de Jong, Director at CLARIN, and Sophie Aubin, IT Architect at INRAE. So my name is Marieke Willems from Trust IT, project partner in the RDA Europe 4 project, and a member of the RDA Secretariat. So I'll be moderating today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. We see that now already 27 people have joined, so that's a very nice group. So we're very excited to share with you an overview of the adoption projects in RDA, of the RDA outputs, and provide you in this way with the opportunity to discuss these projects with our speakers on the call today. But prior to getting started, I'd like to review a few of the technical details pertaining to the webinar. So first, the webinar is in listen-only mode. So this means that you can hear me, you can hear the speakers, but we can't hear you. So this prevents everyone on the line from hearing any unnecessary background noise. But you are very welcome to submit your questions to the question box. You see that at the lower part of the panel on your screen. So you can simply type in a question there. When we reach the questions and answers part, we will also provide you with the opportunity to ask them in spoken words. So we will unmute you when you raise your hand. So that's just some technical issues of the webinar. Then if there are more questions than we can answer, we will follow up in a mail afterwards. So we really encourage you to type in your question and ask whatever you need to know for your own organization and future adoption. Just to let you know also that we are recording the presentation. The recordings will be sent to you in a mail after the whole session. This will take a day. Also, the recordings will be on the RDA website, of course, as soon as we have them. Okay. Then the RDA Adoption Global Adoption Week. So originally planned for the plenary 15, the RDA Adoption Week aims to demonstrate the wide variety of RDA adoptable and adopted solutions to data sharing challenges that you may encounter in your daily job. So the purpose of the week is really to learn about the RDA outputs through adoption stories, through the chairs that explain what they are, what they're for, to converse with the speakers from really around the world who have created them and have implemented them, and then to determine how best to integrate those sharing solutions in your own projects. So today, Wednesday. Hi.
May I interrupt? We cannot see your presentation full screen.
Oh, really?
It's
okay.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Let's see how I can. Like this. Can you see it like this?
Yeah, that's it, full screen now.
Okay, thank you so much, Sophie, for highlighting that. Okay, so today's session is about identity store and preserve. So the collections and streams of digital objects are growing at an incredibly rapid pace. So we need to understand what these objects are. We need to document and store them, and see how they link and talk to one each other. So therefore, we have 3 presentations of adoption stories, the outputs that are in the identity store and preserve category. So we start with the scalable dynamic data citation methodology. So that's the CCCA subset and dynamic data citation service by Chris Schubert. Then the social sciences and humanities open cloud SSHOC adoption story of CoreTrustSeal across European social sciences and humanities repositories by Franciska de Jong from CLARIN. And then the 39 hints to facilitate the use of semantics for data on agriculture and nutrition, the INRAE adoption story by Sophie Aubin. So now we would like to ask you to go to slido.do and enter the code hashtag W344. I will take you there. Let me switch screens. So is this visible? Is the Slido visible?
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks. So here it says slido.com and then enter with the hashtag W344. So I'll give you some seconds to join that. Because we really want to know who you are. So we want to know who's on the call, who will be engaging with us during this, this 1-hour session. So the first question is, what is your primary role? So we would like to know if you're a researcher, if you're part of the research support staff, if you're project manager, IT specialist, or other. So I see that we have quite a number of researchers. We have research support staff. We have project managers as well. Other, no IT specialist for the moment. So it's very equally divided over, now more project managers. Okay. So a lot of research support staff. We have researchers, project managers, and other roles in research data. Okay. So now we move to the next question. So what is your primary domain? Are you working in the social sciences, the natural sciences, engineering and technology, medical and health sciences, agricultural sciences, the humanities? Okay, we have a lot of natural sciences, domain agnostic. We have social sciences, humanities, engineering. Good. Okay, it's nicely divided. Okay, then just to know where you're from, where you're resided. So, what is your country of residence? We'd like to know a little bit who's on the call. Denmark, France, Spain, France, Ukraine, a lot of Europe, Sweden, United Kingdom, France, Australia, nice, Italy. Okay, a lot of European, also from Australia, so it's nice to see. Good. Then arriving to the last question, what is one question or issue related to the data identification, storage and preservation and RDA outputs that you would like to learn more about today? So this is also a way to get your question answered later by speakers. Success stories and fails, nice. Fair principles and preservation. Technology and implementation of data dynamic citation, data subsetting, implementation processes. Good. Okay. So now, without handling of continuously changing data, implementation processes. Okay. So now we'll stop the poll. And without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Chris Schubert. Chris is director of the CCCA Data Center in Vienna. He has more than 10 years of experience in data infrastructures and interoperability. With his in-depth knowledge about the architecture of inspired depth experiences in the field of semantic mapping, transformation, and web-based services, he started in February 2015 at the CCCA Data Center and is responsible for setting up the data infrastructure and services. So Chris, I'll make you presenter and then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marika, for the introduction. So, you can see my screen, I guess.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon to the audience. Thanks a lot for joining us and joining me for this presentation here. I will use the time and to talk a little bit about the technical implementation of the development for the CCCA data center, the role of RDA, and also its knowledge transfer, and about our plans on the evolution on the dynamic data citation service, which are supported also by RDA, by the RDA Europe program. And yeah, the title, the scalability or scalable dynamic data citation methodology, yeah, it seems a little bit technical, but in the end, I will present also a little bit more this broader, or from the broader perspective. But if you have, or if you want to have also a technical start, I'm technical discussion, I'm available too. So I will start a little bit and about our services and our portfolio in the data environment and what is our task and our community. CCTA stands for Climate Change Center in Austria. This is a non-profit association for Austrian research institutions, which deals with within the scientific domain of climate change. And one department is the data center, and the data center is responsible for to establish a research data infrastructure here in Austria. As Marike mentioned, we started to set up this small data center in 2015. And in the end, our task is really to promote interoperability in the technical sense regarding fair data principles, and also to offer services and collaboration between different science and research communities. The kind of general goal or task is, of course, to publish inside resources and data of distributed data provider. So we are collecting all research data coming from different institutions here in Austria. Doing this, we are a centralized or central access point or access hub to the relevant data and metadata information. We are also providing, of course, storage for any research projects, virtual machines, and high-performance computer facilities too. In contrast to my concept at the beginning, around 2015, going for heterogeneous data, we focused very quick on this climate domain, on this NetCDF package or NetCDF files. So just a simple draft or sketch here, this NetCDF structure, and in the end, I quite appreciate, because it's a little bit more than a kind of normal data format like XSL or CSV domain. The data center itself and me and my colleagues, we feel responsible in the end for better data access and reuse of reproducible data and information. Data preservation is one task, processing and analysis, and of course to support with the whole data management process of domain-tailored tasks and issues. And really to provide items and issues, and to help to really to describe the whole data life cycle, and of course data provenance information. Just a quick view on what we implemented. And here just for the metadata level. So we are going or implemented this W3C recommendation on data catalog vocabulary, only adjust for metadata, and really to provide meta information to share this information in quite a standardized sense. And of course, we are working also, focused also on the development on the visual context and make information visible from the data itself. And also our data scope is not only in Austria, so we provide also some global data set, like here this radio occultation data set, atmospheric 3-4D information. Yeah, some European data sets, especially also in a focus for the Western Balkan region, Austrian, of course, but also some high resolution data sets for like urban climate scenarios and models. So, and with this, just a sketch from the German weather service here. So with this climate scenarios, climate models, and simulation, in the end, these data and process chain is quite complex, and we have a lot of dependencies here, and it's as you can see also here. So we in the end, to process high resolution climate data, like on the right side, for this urban climate model in a resolution of from 100 meter around. So these data and information are coming by downscaling processes and downscaling methods from the global mesh and global network with data with a resolution around 100 kilometers here. I want to show also a little bit our basement, what we did with RDA together. So personally, I'm registered for RDA, I guess so in 2013-14. I moved to Vienna and was responsible to set up this little data center in 2015. And in the same year, at the same moment, I came in contact with Andreas Rauber. He was or is head of this data citation working group from RDA. Really to discuss some issues about a proper data management and like here also identifier management. And in the same time, he convinced me and offered me his work, what he did with his RDA team and group on the data citation pilot of evolving data and dynamic data, and in the end it was quite easy for us really to take this concept of all these recommendation. Here you can see it also in this figure. This is an output of this 14 recommendation how to cite dynamic data or evolving or data fragments of evolving data. So, and for us it was really a nice situation to keep this RDA concept direct from the beginning when we planned and described our concept here for the technical architecture to set up these services. So we started, of course, with a pilot description. Also, it was an RDA pilot here, and in 2017 we celebrated the first release of the dynamic data citation service within an RDA webinar. Also this time gap from 2016-17, it's not really the whole development phase. So in the end, for this dynamic data citation service and subset service, our initiate development frame was around 2-3 months in the end, really to implement these recommendation from RDA. In 2019-18, we came also in touch with this RDA adoption program and described also our adoption story. And last year we started also, or we got also this a little financial support for this European adoption. RDA adoption, and I will talk a little bit later. In this slide, you can. This is more this kind of technical part. In the end, you can see our construct what we started here. So to align an identifier on to a data or data cube, it's also with to align this with an identifier and to create also a citation proposal or a text snippet. It's one task, but it's also really it's also really important to keep also this versioning. But in the end, if you start really to use only fragments from such data cubes, and also our data sets, what we deal for, it's at least 10 gigabytes on file size. So in the end, we have to ensure that also data fragments are always exactly the same. As it and has also this the same source, and yeah, the old style or old-fashioned way is really in the end download this whole data cube, create a subset of this, and then you can share this data. Or normally you share. You have this, you process this data fragment on your desktop computer, but if you want to share such data fragments with colleagues or with a project group, it's to apply for different processes. What you're doing, you can send this data fragment per mail, or physical via SSD or so, or you can also share these subset parameters like a bounding box and a time frame. And another option is really to republish this data fragment in a kind of data portal or in the same data portal, but how to ensure that you describe the exact and the correct relation to the original data, and to describe also the metadata information, authorship credits, and so on. And in this case, use case, there's no consideration done if the original data is changing or was corrected and the version is changed. So, and this is exactly the point what we did, and what was our main motivation really to take this 14 recommendation of RDA, because of data and research data especially is dynamic, and we have to identify precisely the data at a specific time, and also if something happened like a subset process, we have to identify this subset really precisely and describe the process. And here you can see also part of our graphical user interface. You can choose parameters like temperature, surface temperature, or whatever. Also, you can choose this geographical extent, what you need, the area of interest, and also if you're interested in a specific time frame, you can choose this. And in the end, the subset, you will get also this subset 2 with inherited meta information, and we keep also all the relation between the subset and the original data set. The smart thing which comes from RDAs, that we are working only with arguments and request parameters, and we store also these arguments in query store. And this query store has the big advantage for us. We do not have any redundant storage consumption, only some kilobytes for these arguments. And this query will be executed again if this subset and data fragment is needed again. So more for this technical description, here I have some we create also some publication out of it, and what we implement. And here we have also some ideas about the this evolution, what we want to do for in the next phase, or we are completely in this phase, really to think about how to combine or how to extend our data service, our data management service to other data portals, and now we are elaborating and evaluating if we extend a kind of application or RPE interface and script like this OpenEO driver. And here's also a kind of summary of about our draft, how to create a proper data management and data citation service combined with different domains, especially here our extension idea regarding the Earth observation domain, really to combine climate and Earth observation data in one context. And one part is also this development from CSIRO, with this open data cube. It's really for us a big potential to use also this data management framework for the data cube and point our subset or dynamic data citation service really on these data cube infrastructures. So I hope I was in the time, Marike, and yeah, if you have any question, and yeah, please contact me, or please
Thanks, Chris. I think you already had one question earlier on. So there was a question in the Slido from Nicola. Do you have metadata schema for netCDF, and do you use CF convention or something else? So what do you want to reply to Nicola here?
Yes. So where can I see this Slido question? Or it's so in the end, no, our metadata schema, and this is also for this data portal, we using this DCAT RP profile, and in the end, it's for netCDF. Our requirements to the data provider in Austria here, our requirements is really to keep this netCDF data and regarding CF convention, or in a kind of standardized format. And that's why we have only kind of extraction and transformation script really to get all this metadata from netCDF automatically into our CSV and metadata catalog.
Thanks. Then there's another question from Nicola. Nicola, I don't know if you want to ask them yourself, so we unmute you. Otherwise, just raise your hand if you want to. Otherwise, I'll read them out. So what is the max typical of recommended size for of net CDF files for files your portal intakes?
No, at this moment, at the beginning, we had also some recommendation on this, but we worked quite hardly on that we do not have any limitation for this ingest process. So, to upload the data, so we have different ways. Of course, you can go via HTML web page, and of course this is limited. But if you using this SFTP, or we offer also an FTP access, really to provide net CDF files direct from the project. So there we do not have any limitation.
Okay, and then we only have time for the very last question, very briefly. Also by Nicola. So how extendable is your work is for other domains?
No, yes. Our focus now is also really to combine the climatological domain with this Earth observation domain, and also regarding with these new sensors and new efforts from the European Sentinel program. This is our or at the moment it's really a nice opportunity to combine this, and from the technical perspective, I'm also quite happy with this Open Data Cube framework developed in Austria and implemented really on the globally points, because this process there, it's quite similar to our architecture. So that's why I have a lot of potential ideas really to adapt also these with some developments, this development in the end for the Open Data Cube framework.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank you very much. We need to move on to the next speaker. So that's Franciska de Jong. Franciska, I'll present you. I hope you can see my screen. So is it in presentation mode? So Franciska, she's executive director. Oh. Franciska, can you hear us? So I'll briefly present you. Franciska is the executive director of CLARIN, Eric. She has a background in Dutch language and literature, a PhD track in theoretical linguistics, and then made the switch to language technology. She's been professor at language technology at the University of Twente and is director of the Erasmus Studio for e-research at the Erasmus University Rotterdam, where she also holds a chair in e-research for the social sciences and humanities. In SSHOC, Franciska leads the work on governance and sustainability. Franciska, the floor is yours. Let me know when to pass to the next slide. Is it visible? So, Franciska,
I think Franciska might have a problem with her connection.
Okay. Okay. Then let's Let's move to Sophie. Sophie, I will make you presenter.
Okay.
So Sophie, while she's setting up her presentation, Sophie has been working in the field of knowledge engineering for more than 10 years. Her educational background lies in computational linguistics. She's in charge at INRAE. She's in charge of developing vocabulary management and text mining services for researchers. And in your previous positions led to work on information extraction in the ALVIS and Query projects. And you've also recently been involved in an institutional working group dedicated to preparing and supporting research data openness. And Sophie, Sophie Aubin is also one of the chairs of the Agri-Semantics working group. So Sophie, the floor is yours.
Okay. I have issues with my presentation. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. So I will tell you a little bit about the adoption by INRAE of the Agri-Semantics Working Group outputs. So I am Sophie Aubin, working at INRAE at the Direction for Open Science, where I am in charge of services for research teams who work with the semantic resources, namely ontologies, thesauri, terminologies, and so on. And these resources are used mainly to annotate, index, and analyze literature, but now also data sets and any digital research object. A few words about INRAE. This is a brand new institute. This is the French National Research Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment. It's a major player in Europe, and as it's born from former both institutes, INRAE and ISTA. And INRAE's main goal is to be a key player in the transition necessary to address major global changes faced with the growing world population, climate change, resource scarcity, and decline in biodiversity. The Institute is developing solutions that involve multi-performance agriculture, high quality food, and the sustainable management of resources and ecosystems. And at INRAE, researchers produce and disseminate a lot of knowledge to help solve major societal challenges. And we are linked to application domains as we put this knowledge to work to foster innovation, provide training and expertise. And we also have missions for informing public policies. To do this research, we collaborate with a broad diversity of stakeholders, from academia to social economic sphere, non-profit organizations, and everyday citizens. So to support our researchers doing this research in a very interdisciplinary environment, we need solutions to better share our data and knowledge. Now, some words about INRAE. In RDA, we've been involved since the very beginning of RDA in 2013, and we have we've done some contributions, especially in the interest group for agriculture data. Also the with data interoperability working group, which released major guidelines some years ago, and the agri-semantics working group we will talk more today. But beyond this group we've been really involved in, we've constantly been monitoring and testing the outputs of a group of interests and working groups in RDA. And here is some examples of what we've implemented. So now regarding agri-semantics and issues that are related to this. As you've understood, INRAE is a very interdisciplinary research institute, from gene to a landscape, animals, plants, humans, and we really need solutions to increase the scientific data discoverability and interoperability. This is one of our major challenges today. And we have to address some very complex cases of data interoperability. All along the data life cycle, we need to improve the metadata descriptions, and also the we need to make our data sets values more semantically grounded. We really need clear descriptions of what are the variables, the objects that are described and measured in our data sets. Here are some roadblocks with using and developing these semantic resources that will help disambiguate the objects that we deal with. First, what we have as a goal is to avoid the duplicating semantic resources, because they are very costly, and having specific semantic resources really prevents from this interoperability between information systems and data sets. So we have to organize this production and management of semantic resources. But at the moment, there is a real lack in skills for these tasks in knowledge engineering, and we need to develop these skills to get together with the whole community. And we also need to make it easier. At the moment, at INRAE, only I would say a few researchers are able to work with these semantic resources and all the tools that are offered at the moment to work with these. And we really need to develop these semantic approaches and make it easier to do. And also incentives are very important, because at the moment developing these semantic resources is not really valorized, not recognized in the, for instance, in the evaluation. So we need to work on this. Oh, sorry. So a few words about the agri-semantics recommendations. The goal of the working group was to enhance the data interoperability in agriculture, especially by promoting the use of semantics for agricultural data. The working group worked from a landscape study. Then we worked on some use cases to output these recommendations that are quite high level recommendations. We do not provide very precise solutions because we have to build them. The recommendations from agri-semantics are more like a roadmap to progress on these topics. So what we would see as part of the solution to better use and produce these semantic resources is first we need some framework that would be easier to use for non-specialists. At the moment, editing semantic resources is quite difficult, and then the publication, the sharing process is not that clear. We need tools and methodologies. Also, we need people to engage in reusing existing semantic resources, and for this, again, we need methodologies and tools and clarify the legal issues. We also need metadata models or profiles to describe these semantic resources that have some particular features. And more generally, we need to introduce semantic culture in the training programs. So we have, this is only 4 very high level recommendations, but there are 39 at the total in the recommendations, and they are addressed to a different kind of stakeholders, policymakers and funders, software developers, semantic professionals, and data producers and managers who are the user of the semantic resources. Now, on the what we've adopted at INRAE at the moment, just I need to mention that this is a continuous adoption process. We step by step we progress on the road. So as more the policymaker or funder, as my department provides services to researchers of the institute, we adopted the 36 recommendation, which encourages and supports the creation and long-term maintenance of open tools to manipulate semantic resources. So we have adopted open source tools that are quite spread and well used in our community, namely Workbench to work with SCORS and OWL, and also Cosmos to present the thesauri, and very important is the Agro Portal. This is a repository for ontologies and thesauries for agronomy. This is a place where people interested in these very specific topics can find very interesting resources, and we promote these tools. We provide use cases to test them and provide some feedback, and we also encourage their adoption through our projects and the way we provide services to our researchers. Second, now we here are more like in the position of semantic professionals, as we in my department, but also other other people at INRAE, researchers mainly working with the semantic resources. We've adopted the following recommendations with making our semantic resources easily findable, accessible, interpretable, and reusable. Mainly, this is the FAIR principles, and we applied W3C recommendations. So very concretely, we share our resources in various repositories and catalogs. First, we encourage people to put them in AgroPortal, to make them easy findable by the community. Then we record the metadata and links to the data in our institutional data catalog, which is data INRAE based on the Dataverse technology. And our data INRAE catalog also provides DOI. Whenever you reference a vocabulary in data INRAE, you get a DOI for your data. And then we also use and really promote the metadata for ontology description and publication ontology, which is metadata application profile for semantic resources that provides very useful information, especially on provenance and usage of the ontologies, which is very useful when you are looking for a resource to reuse. Also regarding recommendation 15, data INRAE and AgroPortal handle versions very properly. So that's fine for us. In addition, which is not shown in this slide, all the semantic resources from INRAE that are in AgroPortal are also referenced on FAIR sharing, which is quite convenient. Now, we also we've adopted some recommendations that are developed in some projects that we are participating in. We promote standards for expressing alignments between resources expressed in different formats. That's what's developed in the D2CAP project, led by Clément Jonquet from LIRM. This is a project that we are partner of, and we really want to develop some new ways to represent and document alignments. We also produce recommendations and training on key issues. This is more the Fusin and Gopher food system part. The Gopher food systems is a kind of follow-up of the agri-semantics working group. This is we are attached in this initiative to provide implementation solutions for the agri-semantics recommendation that address FAIR principles. And also in this Gopher and Fusin. Fusin is the French part of the Gopher food system implementation network. We will communicate the benefits of semantics through case studies. We will run a survey. We will collect some use cases from next autumn, and we will see how people are advanced on this adoption process of the agri-semantics outputs. And all these initiatives or projects also contribute to the FAIR's project, which is linked to the Open Science Cloud. So we are pushing our the agri-semantics output towards these organizations. So the adoption process, as I said, is continuous through our internal services to the researchers working with the with semantic resources. We also work in the inside our community of practices. Mainly people you can meet in the interest group for agricultural data, where we have common tools like AgroPortal, Workbench, and so on. And as I said, in our we've started some projects and initiatives since the production of the agri-semantics recommendations, and the recommendations are developed or implemented in all these projects. Okay, now just a quick information. Chris, this is not really related to INRAE, but more to agri-semantics. Professor Chris Baker told me a few days ago that he's running a survey on the agri-semantics adoption. So I invite you to contribute to this survey, and we will find all this connection information on the slides once they will be on the RDA webpage. This was just to let you know. So I'm finished now, and thank you for listening. If you have any question, please ask or contact us and follow our projects and the food system implementation network of GoFair. You're very welcome if you are interested in these issues.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Sophie? We have time for one short question before we move on to Franciska. Ryan, could you see any questions or?
No, I don't think so. No, not so far.
Okay, so Franciska, can you hear us?
Thank you.
Yes, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me as well.
Yes, we can now. Okay,
wonderful.
So,
yeah, please start
for joining. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will share my screen because you have some issues with the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. If you tell me how to share the screen, I can do it myself as well. But it's maybe faster if you do it.
I have it here.
Yeah. Okay.
So
wonderful.
we jump right into the first slide.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. Just to let you know, this presentation was prepared by a colleague of mine that is a collaborator in the Horizon 2020 SSHOC project. His name is Hervé Lourg, and he will give the same presentation later on today. We are collaborating in the SSHOC project, which and SSHOC stands for SSH, Social Sciences and Humanities Open Cloud, and the whole purpose of that project is to let a number of research infrastructures from the social sciences and humanities that are all ERICs and on the roadmap of S3 in Europe to collaborate in order to prepare for integration of their services, their service offer in the European Open Science Cloud. You find some facts and figures on this slide. I don't think they're very interesting, so please move on to the next slide, Marika. Yeah, here you see a number of partners listed. I think we can skip this one. What is more interesting probably is information on the kind of work that's being done in the project, but I will keep it short. Each of the participating partners, or ERICs and their partners, have a focus on some of the work. There's a lot on community fostering and empowering users and working on training, etc. There's a lot on an open marketplace for SSH services. There's stuff about lifting technological services into the cloud, etc. But the reason for us being here today comes from Work Package 8, which is focusing on governance, sustainability, and quality assurance. And specifically, the quality assurance aspect is central to what I will tell you. Next slide, please. The organization is, as I said, a number of ERICs. They're either established or developing themselves. They will work for 3 months to move from disciplinary silos to develop and separate facilities into an integrated cloud-based network of interconnected data infrastructures that can then be coupled to the service platform of the European Open Science Cloud. The kind of data that they use is very different. Of course, SSH is a very diverse disciplinary domain, so the data types on offer are diverse as well. I will hopefully be able to say something about that later on. Please, next slide. So as I said, in this presentation, we will focus on the challenge to build more trust and to increase the quality of the repositories in use. And this is mainly an issue for the ERIC's CESDA, which is there for the social sciences, for CLARIN ERIC, which is providing language data to the entire SSH domain, DARIA ERIC, which is focusing on the arts and humanities, and ARIES, which is focusing on cultural and natural heritage. Yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. We're focusing here on a very specific RDA recommendation, namely the recommendation to make use of CoreTrustSeal as a certification instrument, which is working towards trusted digital repositories and the requirements for that. In general, this is recommended by RDA because it's a low barrier to entry. It is based on communities and recommended by lots of initiatives, including European Open Science Cloud, etc. And it's very responsive to community feedback. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So within this SSHOC Work Package 8, which is focusing on quality assurance, there is a task 8.2, which is has the goal to support the very diverse repositories and the communities that run them to work towards certification. And it must be underlined that in some of the participating ERICs, certification of the data repositories is already very mature. So for example, CESDA and ERIC have together over 40 repositories that have been certified by CoreTrustSeal or that are working on the renewal of their certification. But there are also a number of areas in the social science and humanities domain where this is only a new concept, very much desired, but where the community needs to be educated and trained to be able to reach that level of trust and quality that CoreTrustSeal can ensure. So that means that for the entire SSHOC community, flexibility is highly required, but also training by peers, workshops and webinars to make sure that the concept is well understood, and all kinds of internal review and assessment models. Next slide, please. So here you see the model that SSHOC will adopt to make sure that more repositories can get certified by CoreTrustSeal. There is a self-assessment process internal to SSHOC, and then there is a submission, and then there are reviewers assigned according to the procedures for CoreTrustSeal. Then there is peer review, and that can lead to recommendations and revisions, and then the certification can happen. Next slide, please, because here you see that SSHOC aims to contribute to this more or less standard procedure advice and engagement to make sure that the stage of self-assessment and submission is well aligned to the requirements of CoreTrustSeal, which could contribute to a wider level of certification in the SSHOC community at large. Next slide, please. We see lots of benefits for the adoption of this model and the wider impact. Of course, there is the benefits from certification in itself, but we would like to see the community benefiting from self-assessment, even if it's not leading to certification. There is the possibility to compare the state of the repositories with peer groups. There's the possibility to cooperate on providing support, and there is lots of feedback loops that will emerge to organize better models for data quality and process improvements. Yeah, we can also use the process to provide feedback to CoreTrustSeal and the processes adopted there to make sure that the diversity of the various communities that provide data services and repositories providing data services to make sure that the diversity is also taken into account in the CoreTrustSeal model. Next slide. As I said, feedback into the CoreTrustSeal can help to better support existing repositories and to help educate other actors in the infrastructure. This can also help to develop wider data steward support, and it will, all in all, contribute to the sustainability of the trust model within SSHOC and by the diversity issues also for the wider community. Thank you. Next slide. We already have a number of lessons learned. We understand better how CoreTrustSeal can work for those who have a less matured model for data repositories. Lots of parties that don't identify as the traditional applicants of CoreTrustSeal do see the relevance already, and all actors in the partnership of SSHOC hope to be able to, in the end, contribute to EOS because of better adjustment to existing standards. So the transparency ethos of CoreTrustSeal is widely understood, and it's also used for the gap analysis within the SSHOC community. Next slide, please. This is my last slide. We recently launched an action line where people within the community and repositories within the community that are not among those who are already adjusted to the certification process to apply for a form of funding, partly in-kind contributions to collaborate together on the process towards certification, so the self-assessment, etc. This call will be active in the coming period. You see the link there. And if you know of any institutes that would be interested in doing this, please make sure they receive this message. Thank you very much. This was the last slide.
Thanks, Franciska. Thanks. Are there any questions for Franciska? Can't see any questions in the chat. Or any hands if you want to raise your hand? No. Okay, so we've run a little bit over time. If you have any questions, you can always mail RDA inquiries. Let me pull up that slide for a second. So I'm not sure if you can see the slides or if it's in presentation mode. No. Okay. Now it is. So we just wanted to briefly point you to a few actions. We have calls to actions for you. So if you are an adopter, and we're very curious to learn about your story, as we've already heard from Chris Schubert today, from the CCCA, from Sophie Aubin, the INRAE adoption story, and from Franciska de Jong, the SSHOC adoption story. So if you have an adoption story, please tell it, submit it to the web form that is linked there. We also have a CoData call for papers data science journal special collection on RDA, where we're looking for articles on RDA related work, so outputs produced, adoptions, adoption stories. It's funded by the RDA Europe 4 project to fund the publication of 30 articles. It's on a first come first served basis, but it's open to all interested applicants, regardless of their geographical provenance. Mind that the deadline is on the 17th of July. So with this, I would really like to thank you all for joining the webinar. And I wish you a very nice day. The recordings will be sent to you, as said earlier, in a mail. Also, the slides will be available on the RDA website, as well as the recordings on the YouTube channel. So thanks again for attending, and have a great day. Thank you again for all of our speakers who were here already for the European Day quite early. Thank you so much for sharing your adoption stories today. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Marika. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.